Gizmodo asks, will cryogenically frozen people ever be able to be revived? This is an article on Gizmodo from about a month ago, and it starts off by saying corpse freezing hasn't exactly gone mainstream, but most people are now familiar with the concept. You lay out a ton of cash, sign some papers, and spend a couple post-death decades in a cutting-edge meat locker, calmly awaiting the conditions for your eventual revival. Over 300 cold dead Americans, or dead cold American brains, depending on which procedure they opted for, can currently be found in storage facilities across the country. All of them took a gamble, one that was pretty cheap, metaphorically speaking, with the worst case scenario here is just continued death. So what's going on with this? There's quite a few philosophical and scientific reasons why being cryogenically frozen is probably not a good idea. One of the first reasons, and this is something I talk about quite a bit in my book, The Afterlife and Beyond, is that during the cryogenic process, sometimes the body has to be highly mutilated, as well as draining of the blood and replacing it with a formaldehyde or some kind of a preservative chemical. So when you're being cryogenically frozen, not only do you need to wait until science comes to a point when you can be revived, science also has to come to a point where it would be able to repair the body that comes into the cryogenic tank heavily disfigured. And when I mean heavily disfigured, I mean that includes up to the removal of the head. And basically the head is going to be disconnected from the rest of the body. Sometimes other limbs are removed, sometimes organs are taken out. So it's not just a simple matter of like Sleeping Beauty, sitting in a cryo tank waiting, someday in the far future when some scientists in lab coats come along and they press a few buttons and it's like something out of the film Demolition Man or something, and then the tank warms up and thaws, and then the person wakes up and they're in a new world, they're in the future. I really doubt it could be that way unless science develops to a point where the consciousness is somehow taken out of, in this case, I guess you could say the brain. And remember, this is going off of the materialist model that consciousness is derived from the brain. It's an epiphenomenon of neurons. So this is their working hypothesis because they have no awareness of anything else, because mainstream science is brainwashed. So using that hypothesis, they might be able to yank the consciousness out of that brain and stick it in a new vehicle. So basically you'd come back as a cyborg. So that's not entirely impossible. But certainly I don't think you'd be coming back in the same body. And if it all did work out, you'd be in a whole new world. All your friends and family would be long gone, and you'd have to make your way in life again. But I can see how doing cryogenics gives you kind of like this little sense of insurance, especially if you're on the fence about the stuff we talk about on this channel. Oh, and by the way, you're watching Afterlife Topics and Metaphysics, where we talk about life after death, supernatural topics, astral projection, the nature of the universe. If you like that kind of stuff, please hit the subscribe button to keep the channel going. To continue. So I kind of get it as a bit of an insurance policy on the afterlife. But there's a second big issue that comes with cryogenics, and that is the philosophy of non-materialism and how that is in opposition to materialism. So non-materialists, people like me, believe that consciousness arrives outside the brain. Now, I wouldn't say that consciousness doesn't exist in the brain or as part of the brain. Obviously, that's the case. But we can see that consciousness can also exist outside the brain. And if you're having like an out-of-body experience, that's a perfect example of that. So if that is the case, which I believe it is, and there is an afterlife, which I believe there is because I've been there, and many other people have been there, and many people communicate to people from that side, and to me it's a given. Then we're faced with a different issue, because we also know that you can be outside on that side, kind of rhymes, I guess. You can be out on that side of the universe and also have a connection where you're tethered still to this body. And so this is what happens with astral projection. So part of you is in your body, and part of your consciousness, let's say 80% of your consciousness, travels outside your body, and you're in a different realm, and 20% is still sleeping on your bed. If that's the case, what'll happen if you're out enjoying the afterlife, the astral plane, the higher density, the other side, the spirit world, whatever you want to call it, and then it comes time for technology to catch up with the cryogenics, and it's time to wake up. What if that means that you get sucked out of your lovely existence on the other side? And remember, we're talking about the astral plane here, so you could have a life, you could have a house, you could have a family, you could have a whole new existence on the higher density spectrum, living your life on that side, and then you get sucked into a broken, disfigured body on this side. That would not be good. A third issue, though, comes down to metaphysics. So most people have near-death experiences, some people have out-of-body experiences. They talk about the silver cord. George Meek was able to capture video of his own silver cord attached to his body during out-of-body experiments using sensitive camera equipment. Well, the silver cord is pretty much the thing that keeps your higher density version of yourself, the energy, consciousness, astral body, whatever, tethered into your physical body. If the silver cord snaps, that means there's no coming back. So the plug has been pulled on your earthly physical body, and now you are free to enter the astral and other density realms and wherever you want to go. And that is the afterlife. That's what dying means. So you don't, even people who see the tunnel and light, at the end of the day, they still have this astral filament attached basically from their astral body to their, from back of their astral neck to the same location on their physical earth body. And it's not until that thing is cut that you're fully dead. What I'm getting at here is that if your astral cord is cut, no amount of materialist physics is going to be able to put that astral cord back into the body. Now, there is a kind of scary evolution of cryogenics, and that would be cloning. So they may come to find that the cryo thing doesn't work. You can't revive people because energetically they're no longer connected to their bodies. But one solution in the far future, and it could happen sooner than later if we start getting this technology disclosures and things like that, which seems to be happening if you talk to certain insiders, the Emery Smiths and William Tompkins and people like that, then that kind of stuff could be around the corner. And if we're talking about cloning, if you look at this from a materialist standpoint, what's it matter if it's not the same person, if it's the same set of organs, the same brain mold, the same kind of DNA replication, then hey, it might as well be the same person again. Doesn't matter because materialists don't believe in souls, so a clone is the next best thing. So will we someday be seeing cloned people? Will those cloned people have any similarity or connection to the original? What is the spiritual philosophy behind clones? I don't know yet. We haven't gotten there yet, and I kind of hope we don't get there. Well, those are my opinions about cryogenics. Overall, it's probably not a good idea, but I do empathize with people who do it because it's a good insurance policy. And me, I'm somebody who's promotes the afterlife, but if I knew science had some way to keep me here on this realm and not on that side, I would go with it because I have a lot to do in this world. A lot to explore, a lot to do, and this little 70 to 80 year time span is not going to cut it. So if something does come along on the science side to keep me here, I'm going to do it. But I'm not so sure yet if cryogenics is the way to go. That's it for this video. If you like what I have to say, you can go down and click on Show More and see my website. Check out my books, Understanding Life After Death, The Afterlife, and Beyond, or you can visit the Facebook group. Very big group, lots of big discussions happening there all the time. I would even dare say it is the most active metaphysical afterlife-related group on Facebook or maybe on the internet. It's a lot of fun there. I would check it out. And that's it. I will see you guys on the next video.